We're now going to look what happens when somebody's paid that sales invoice. So returning to my transactions menu and to my sales invoices, I've now got the ability to actually find that invoice and convert it to being paid. So assuming that my allotment fees have now come in from John Smith, I've got the 3 vertical dots on the right-hand side, and I can convert this to a receipt. When I convert it to a receipt, I have a piece that comes up and it sort of says to me, have you received everything? So have I actually received the plot and the water charge? So I can take them all, or I can just take an individual one if I've only received part of it. Obviously, if you've only received part of one of the invoice, you'll just have to tick the one individual box and then click on to convert. So it might be that this one's actually been slightly underpaid. So rather than receiving the £25, I may have only received £20. So if you have been short paid for something, you can see this has created a new receipt in your transactions and receipts. It's linked it through to that invoice number 139. If it's been received in full, you can simply click on to save. If it has been short paid, then you can just update your net value to the amount that you've received. So in this case, I'm going to choose £20. Clicking on to save means I've got that receipt. So that £20 is now sitting there and it's now being shown in my cash book as number 20. We can go back to the sales invoice, and if we go into the sales invoice, we'll see that the status now has changed from outstanding to part paid. And I can carry on converting this to a receipt as many times as I like until the status is completely paid. So if I convert that now, let's say I've got my full £10 in now, I'm going to convert that. That's receipt number 21. So I've got 20 and 21 now, both linked to invoice number 139. And when I click on to save and go back to my sales invoices, that status is now updated to fully paid. I can still go back into my invoice. I usually click onto the date to go into the sales invoice to edit or view it, but you can use the 3 vertical dots on the right-hand side again to either edit or view. So I'm going to edit my sales invoice. I'm coming back in to number 139. There is a related records section in here. By clicking onto the related records section, I can see both receipts number 20 and 21 that are on display here. So everything's linked quite nicely together. Going back to my main sales invoice screen, I'm going to use another example invoice, so the one below here for 140. So I'm going to take this one in here. Now let's say that I need to make some amendments to this invoice because it hasn't been paid yet. You'll notice you've still got a save option at the bottom. So if you decided that you've made a mistake, you didn't actually need this invoice, you can simply set the net invoice to 0. I can get rid of that one. I can set the invoice to 0 and then it's simply just come out. It's no longer needed because it's just saved it as a 0 value invoice. So up until the point in time, as I said, that it's saved, you can make any amendments to those sales invoices that you wish to. Now, let's say, for example, you receive a payment from a customer, you've received it by a check. We're going to say that, it's come in, it's been paid. So that's going to be this top one that we've got here for £30. And it might be that the check has bounced. So if it has bounced, then we can do a refund against it, or it might be that you just need to possibly refund for a deposit for hall hire or the allotment keys or something that way. So using those 3 vertical dots on the right-hand side, we can refund. We can choose how much we want to refund and what we want to refund. So I'm going to use this example to say that it's bounced this time. So I'm going to have to refund the whole thing. So it's going to put that negative £30 into my cash book. So it came in as income. It came in as a receipt. It's now added a negative receipt. So we can see it's popped in a minus £30 value. Once I click on to save, we'll be able to see that that invoice has now got a status of refunded. So I can see it there. It's sat there still as refunded. Obviously, if the customer comes in with the correct check again, and it goes through correctly this time, I can carry on and I can convert that back to a receipt again so that I've actually got that full £30 that comes through. So you've got multiple different ways of actually going ahead and changing these and updating the status and maintaining what's physically happened with your sales invoice. So going back to those individual sales invoices again, we've got multiple different statuses. We can see the new one that I've got here for outstanding, those that are overdue. So it changes from outstanding to overdue when your due date passes today's date. We've got refunded, we've got paid. Here I've also got sort of like part refunded as well, and you can also have part paid, which we saw earlier. So all of the statuses are there ready for you.